Hey folks, how you doing? This is live, the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast. How are you? This is American Liberty Radio Network. Rushing around, doing stuff. Anywho, just a little something that I wanted to put together tonight, almost at the last minute. I thought about doing another recorded podcast, but I thought, you know, why not? I'll just do a live show. I haven't done one of those in a while. So I thought, you know, I'd put a live show together and do it. So if you're listening to this and you click on the link in Facebook, come to the Spreaker side of things and drop in the chat room and say hi, because it is the 15th of December, 2017. It is 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, I believe. So it's 8 Mountain time. So anyway, I want to discuss a few things tonight. Nothing, I shouldn't say nothing too deep. I said that this morning that I was going to try to keep the podcast light. Well, yeah, it didn't work out so well. But anyway, I'm going to take a break at the bottom of the hour if I so decide to do so. And, go from there. But what I wanted to talk about tonight was something that I think is on people's minds, this net neutrality thing. What is the true story behind net neutrality? What is the true meaning of net neutrality? And I will give you the meaning. And it says here, net neutrality, the principle that internet service providers should be able to access all, let me say this again, I had to cough, sorry. The principle that internet service providers should enable access to all content and applications regardless of the source, and without favoring or blocking particular products or websites. Okay? That is what net neutrality means. I'll put that up on the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast on Facebook. Actually, I'll put that up on American Liberty Radio podcast on Facebook, because I'm going to be talking about that in a podcast tomorrow. I'm just now gathering all of the information together to find out what this all is. According to the independent.co.uk, as soon as the webpage decides to load, well, that's not the page I wanted. It was, sorry, it was something else. What is net neutrality according to the Washington Post? Jeffrey Fowler over there yesterday, 14th December 2017, said, let's talk about the end of net neutrality in terms of hellscape everyone knows, airport security lines. Because net neutrality literally doesn't not only affect you in the home and your internet connection with your service provider, it also affects everyone else. Okay? The Federal Communications Commission voted Thursday to repeal its net neutrality rules, which since 2015 had prohibited internet service providers from blocking or slowing particular websites. Washington treats it as a partisan issue, but it's not. This is what Jeffrey A. Fowler over at thewashingtonpost.com is saying. He continues and says, a new survey by the University of Maryland shows 83% of Americans, including 75% of Republicans, support keeping the existing rules after being presented detailed arguments on both sides. It's really about what happens to the smallest players in our economy. So picture another place where the little guy gets hosted. A busy airport. Imagine Verizon or Comcast are running the security lines and websites and services are the ones trying to get through. With net neutrality, all those sites pass through at the same speed. Of course, airport security these days is all about a pecking order. There's a regular security, and then there's the faster TSA pre-line. Then at many airports, if you pay extra, there's a clear line, a priority line for pilots and first-class passengers, and even a super fast celebrity line that comes with organic seaweed snacks. Really. Without the net neutrality rules, internet service providers could set up their own fast lanes, meaning certain websites could buy first-class treatment, while others are stuck in cattle class. Providers could sell internet service in packages like cable TV bundles. Service providers could also have the right to set up their own no-fly lists, blocking certain websites that they don't like or compete with their own business. That's without net neutrality rules. For you, certain websites could slow to a crawl, or perhaps they wouldn't show up at all. The problem isn't what happens in Silicon Valley companies who can afford special treatment. It's hard to shed a tear for Facebook or Google fighting with the cable guy over who gets to swim around in the largest pile of money. See it from the perspective of Kyle Wenz, co-founder of a website called iFixit.com that helps people repair their own electronics. He gets 10 million visitors each month and provides a great public service, but it's a small business selling replacement parts and tools. Already his biggest expense is bandwidth. Quote, "I'm worried that there will be a fast lane we don't have access to for any price because we're just not big enough," unquote. Wenz says, without net neutrality rules, he says bigger sites, some owned by the cable companies, could cut custom deals. Slower speeds aren't just an annoyance for his readers. Google search results gives lower rankings to slower sites. So if iFixit's pages slow down, its instructions of replacing an iPhone battery could lose their audience. Small businesses from craft sellers on Etsy to online video stars have raised the same concerns. It crosses the political spectrum. Christopher Ruddy, the CEO of conservative news outlet Newsmax, has asked the FCC to make sure providers can't block or throttle content, particularly news content, according to the trade publication Multiple Channel News. Supporters of ending the neutrality rules include FCC Chairman Ajit Pai, say the concerns are overblown. In other words, no big deal. Pai says ending the Obama-era net neutrality rules would bring back, quote-unquote, light touch regulations from a previous era when providers mostly stuck with neutrality ideas anyway. In other words, they governed themselves, they monitored themselves, that kind of thing. He goes on to say here, he says much of the fuss about net neutrality is really about Silicon Valley giants trying to, quote, cement their dominance over the internet company, unquote, internet economy, unquote. In other words, Silicon Valley participants want, this is my editorial, not in the article, but I believe that it's Silicon Valley saying we want a piece of the pie. As a matter of fact, we want a larger piece of the pie. Well, screw that. We just want the whole damn pie. That's what it is. That's my impression. That's my view. The writer of this article goes on, it's true there may be public interest to create fast lanes for certain data, like a telemedicine connection for a doctor. At an airport, it's a good thing that pilots get to use a special line. And we don't know if telecom companies would actually have equivalents to TSA Pre or Clear or that celebrity seaweed line. Comcast, America's largest internet provider, says it isn't interested in blocking or throttling sites, though it hasn't closed the door entirely on asking them to pay for priority service, which might feel like more like a dedicated service. But providers would have the ability to set up traffic lanes and likely business incentive to do it. AT&T, which is trying to buy Time Warner, might want to give priority to streaming HBO. Already it streams its DirecTV Now service to AT&T customers without counting toward their data caps. What happens if providers do start making service less useful and more expensive? The Federal Trade Commission might be able to intervene, but it has much less power than the FCC at present. Otherwise, we'd have to count on the market to punish bad internet providers. Too bad 50 million U.S. homes has either zero or just one internet service provider offering 25 megabytes per second of speed. The deepest impact will be invisible. Small businesses like iFixit stuck in the slow lane. Multiply that impact by thousands of sites, we could lose what makes the internet so useful in the first place. Without net neutrality, many new ideas just won't ever take flight. I was earlier today, I was going to post a big, long, view that I had about net neutrality, but I thought, you know what? I'm not done researching this yet. This is one of the better articles that I've seen about net neutrality. This is only one aspect of it. This is going on American Liberty Radio podcast. So really, when you think about it, with net neutrality, without net neutrality, you have all these options where the internet service that your cable company is providing is going to split all that up and say you can get 20 megabytes, you can get 40, you can get 60, whatever, in various packages like they offer you now. You got what I call the triple play package, which is telephone, internet, and cable TV, all, different packages with different things within those packages. That's what you're going to have without net neutrality. And then you'll have your priority lanes and all of that. With what net neutrality is everybody plays on the same playing field. Everybody gets full access. You and I get full access to the internet wherever, whatever we want to do. Pages don't slow down, nothing like that. That's with net neutrality. Am I against it? Am I for it? Let's put it this way. Free and open internet is key to innovation and creativity. It also has its downsides. I'm fully aware of that. But what we need to do is two things. From my point of view, what we need to do is hammer Washington, D.C., hammer the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, and hammer the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, and tell them, you touch our internet, we're going to make your life a living hell, because we are going to throw all of you into federal court. Now, I don't know too many big companies that like their revenue scrutinized. So you talk to the IRS, and then you get them to file a class action lawsuit against, in the name of all these people, the citizens, against the FTC, against the FCC, against the federal government, against the people. I just slam all of them. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm just saying from my point of view, this is what I see people should do. Now, however you work within those logistics, within those parameters, whatever logistics you want to take to do that, that's entirely up to you. But I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving legal advice. But you have to get up in their face. You have to make them know that we are displeased with anything that takes away the free and open internet, period. That's what we need to do. But the question still remains. Do we have to wait to see what happens? Because I believe that the way it sits right now, we're good. Until these things pass, because they still got to go through a whole bunch of things. They got to jump through a whole bunch of hoops before this thing becomes law. Okay, so it's going to take probably weeks, months, or a year or so just to get this thing hammered out. So we got plenty of time. You know? Because what they're trying to do, and I know this, and this is just speculation, but from my point of view, from what I've seen in the past with the FCC and with that whole thing that Obama did with net neutrality in 2015, what they're trying to do is give that whole business of the internet over to the United Nations so that they can control it, so that we will be screwed. Now, a lot of people would say, well, that's not true. Well, yeah. What's that old saying? Don't count your chickens before they're hatched. I look at people and go, well, count the ones that are hatched. How many are left over that aren't? Think about that one for a minute. Let me blow your mind on that. So, I'm sure that at some point we'll see and we'll understand this and we'll see what's happening and we'll understand what's going on. And I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that because it'll play out in whatever venue that the FCC decides to, use. But it's really going to come down to us. It's really going to come down to us. And it's just, to me, I think that it's time for the people to just tell the federal government, you got two options right here. We want you to do two things, and you got two options. One, shut your big damn pie holes, keep your hands out of my stuff, and that's just the way it is, and get the hell out of my state. We don't need you to tell us what to do, when to do it, why to do it, how to do it, because we're fully capable of doing it. That's one option. The other option is to our advantage, and it is the Declaration of Independence when it says that if the government, I'm going to paraphrase, if the government itself is not doing exactly what we, the people, want done in the way that we want it done, and we don't believe they're doing it to protect us or anything else, we have the right and the duty to get rid of the current government and put other people in there that are going to take care of it. That's just the way it is. That's in the Declaration of Independence. That's our founding document that says we are responsible for this country. We, the people, are responsible for this country. And if we don't like the government that has been centralized and set up to help us, we need to overthrow it. It is a legal document. But are there too many cowards in America and we won't get that done? I don't know. That's entirely up to you. April Glazer over at theslate.com. Here are the states that are planning to sue to protect net neutrality. Yes, states are planning to sue. Excuse me. Attorneys general from Washington, Illinois, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Oregon, Vermont, the District of Columbia, and Massachusetts have announced plans to challenge the FCC's net neutrality repeal. Quote, there is a strong legal argument that with this action, the federal government violated the Administrative Procedure Act, unquote. Washington State Attorney General Bob Ferguson said in his statement, quote, "We will be filing a petition for review in the coming days," unquote. On Wednesday, attorneys general from 16 states and the District of Columbia sent a letter to the FCC requesting the vote schedule for Thursday be delayed until the agency could suss out exactly what went wrong with its comment process. Of course, that didn't happen. Many of those states might end up suing too. And this particular article came out today, 15th December 2017. The widely circulated tweet claims that in total 17 states are already planning to sue, but not all of those states have released official statements on their websites or on Twitter about such or any such plans. And the writer here says, "I reached out to the attorneys general who signed Wednesday's letter, but have yet to make public statements and will update this post when we hear back." This is going up on American Liberty Radio Podcast. I don't, honestly, to me, I don't like conflict. I don't. I despise conflict. I just don't like it. That article is up on American Liberty Radio Podcast. Now, we don't know. Well, okay. I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going to happen next year. But I do know that if the trends continue and if things continue the way they are and if things continue down the road with what is happening right now, we're screwed. There's no way around that. We are completely screwed if we don't change things. If we don't make the changes that we have to make, we're freaking screwed. Okay? I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. Without net neutrality, things are just going to be chaotic. With what we have now, which is net neutrality, everybody has an equal access to the internet. You know, so we have to do what we have to do. We have to make the changes that we have to make to get done what has to be done. Okay? We do. And that's just, we have a say in this. And the fact of the matter is that we're going to do the things that we have to do. Okay? And it really, to me, means that we understand the risk. We know this, okay? And when we do what we do, okay? When we do what we do, we're also going to get some blowback. We're also going to get those people on the other side of the aisle, using that as a metaphor, we're going to get those people on the other side of the aisle so pissed off at us that they're going to do everything they can within their power to immediately stop us from doing what we do. That's one of the things that I can put into the category of risk. Look back in history, folks. Can you imagine a farmer? Can you imagine a farmer on his ranch, on his piece of land, and he's out there plowing up the dirt, getting ready to plant whatever food he's going to eat and give away at market or sell at the market? Imagine for a minute you're out there doing that, and 2 or 3 uniformed military personnel come up on their horses and talk to you about joining them for the sake of the Republic. I mean, think about it. Imagine what you would do. Because as far as I'm concerned, this is what's happening now. We've got people in the streets protesting the federal government on every level, on whatever politicized issue there is, happens to be the flavor of the week. And we have this. But here's the thing, folks. I don't know too many people on our side of the aisle that are out in the streets trying to make the changes that need to be made. I know that Brian Lang over at LiveTruthRadio.com goes out with, with overpasses for America. I think it's Overpasses for America. He goes up there and protests. But that's one issue. That's Extortion 17 and all of that. I know that Pete Santilli just recently got out of jail after 619 days because he was reporting on the situation in Oregon and Bundy Ranch back in 2014. I know that people go out and they protest and do as much as they can to protest what's going on. Well, with net neutrality being repealed, we need to protest that, and we need to make sure that the repeal does not take place for 2 reasons. 1, open and free internet. That's numero uno on the list. Number 2, federal government needs to keep their damn hands out of our business. When you have net neutrality that we have now, we have better opportunities to grow. Without it, I mean, even with net neutrality now, you can have in your city an internet service provider that is not a cable company, that is not a, media company or whatever. It's a mom and pop. And that's what they do. They have servers. They're in your town. They help you get on the internet. They're in a rural area. See, without it, the big companies will look at that and go, no, we're going to sue you out of business. Because they want to be the big dogs in the yard. In other words, it opens up corporate bullying without net neutrality. What we have now is great because we have equal access. Everybody has access to the internet. I'm going to go to break, folks. I think I'll go another half hour. How about that? Is that good? Good enough? Right? All right. Okay. Okay. I'll be back in 2 minutes, 39 seconds. I like to tell you how long I'll be gone so that way you can go do whatever you got to do and come back and listen to the Wayne Esper Show podcast. Folks, talk to you in a bit. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com.
Greetings, this is John LeBang of The John LeBang Show, and you're listening to the American Liberty Radio Network.
Late Night in the Midlands is an alternative media that covers the truth, theory, and fact that the lamestream media won't talk about. We cover everything from the known and the unknown, the normal and the paranormal, the government lies and the government ties, and even their thrive. We tell what's coming, what's going, whether it be politics or archaeologists. We have an amazing fan base, and our shows are all archived to be heard millions of times more. So tell your friends, your family, and anybody you care about LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Become a member and be informed.
Growing up terrestrial radio, the future is here. Destroying the liberal media one truth bomb at a time. Independent media is shattering the liberal national security media into a million pieces. Their views of the world are based on the script the government gives them. Independent media seeks out and finds the truth and reports on what is truly going on behind the scenes. Support the truth and facts. Support independent media. Sharing the truth one fact at a time without all the BS. American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. American Liberty Radio Network. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast. I am your host, Wayne S. Pierce. How are you? How you doing? Yeah, if you want to contribute to the American Liberty Radio Network, you can. Go to patreon.com/American Liberty Radio. Patreon.com/American Liberty Radio. And help me keep the lights on around here, folks. CBS, I should say, San Francisco.cbslocal.com is reporting from CBS 5K Picks, CBS San Francisco Bay Area on the 14th of December 2017. California health officials released guidelines to avoid cell phone radiation. California health officials have a new message for cell phone users. For the first time ever, the California Department of Public Health has released guidelines about harmful cell phone radiation and how you can avoid it. Dr. Karen Smith with the California Department of Public Health said, quote, "We recognize that there are a lot of people in the general public that have some concerns about their cell phones and whether using cell phones is safe." Smith goes on to say, quote, "When you sleep, you keep your cell phone at least arm's length away from your body, and also not carry your cell phone in your pocket, having it either in your purse or not carry it with you. Research suggests cell phones could increase our risk for brain cancer and tumors, low sperm count, headaches, as well as impaired memory, hearing, and sleep." Dr. Joel Moskowitz at UC Berkeley said, quote, "Currently, we are not doing a good job in regulating radiation from these devices. In fact, we're doing an abysmal job," unquote. Mikowski says this is a long time coming. He's partially responsible for bringing this information to light. He sued the Department of Public Health for refusing to release information about the dangers of cell phone radiation back in 2009. This spring, he won that case. Almost 10 years later. Quote, people are being injured and harmed by the delay in having this information accessible to them, unquote. So, does the release mean that the state believes cell phones are dangerous? Dr. Karen Smith says, not at all. Our position is that the science is evolving. The state said one of the main reasons they've decided to release these guidelines now is that there are new numbers out showing that cell phone use is higher than ever, with 95% of Americans using them on a regular basis. This is going up on American Liberty Radio podcast for you over on Facebook, American Liberty Radio podcast. So what's your take on this? Okay? Just wanting to know. Just wanting to know. There is so much going on. Now, I just want to make this known. Okay? The fact that people have cell phones is common knowledge. I mean, everybody. I mean, geez, even your teenagers have it. Okay? Here's the thing. You take and you use common sense when you're using your cell phone. I'm hardly ever on it, except that I have games on the internal card. So I hate when videos start by themselves. So anyway, what common sense means when using a cell phone is your children are still growing and their brains are still growing, and there's this blood-brain barrier type thing going on there, and so it penetrates that and screws them up. Now, that's already out there. You've got the studies, you've got the findings, it's all out there. I'm not saying this because I'm not a medical professional at all, but it's all out there and you can go check it out. But common sense in cell phone use is literally don't use it unless you absolutely have to, and don't stay on it more than 2 minutes or 5 or whatever it is. Look at the statistics as to how long should a person be on the cell phone. Okay? So that's one of the things. That's one of the things that you have to think about. Here's something ironic, and I say that in quotes, not as the Alanis Morissette song, but CNBC is reporting Facebook just admitted that using Facebook can be bad for you. Facebook said on Friday that there are certain use cases of social network that can be bad for your health. It also found that some use cases can be positive, specifically social interaction, and said it's going to work to improve these features. What? Facebook's director of research, David Ginsburg, and research scientist Moira, I don't know, Moira, I don't know, you guys pronounce it, Miss Burke, I'll just call her, published a post in which they addressed questions about the impact Facebook has on our moods and revealed some compelling information. Quote, University of Michigan students randomly assigned to read Facebook for 10 minutes were in a worse mood at the end of the day than students assigned to post or talk to friends on Facebook, unquote, the blog post said. Quote, a study from UC San Diego and Yale found that people who clicked on about 4 times as many links as the average person, or who liked twice as many posts, reported worse mental health than average in a survey, unquote. In other words, if you're using Facebook to mindlessly browse through your feed or click posts, you may end up in a foul mood after. Facebook also worked with Carnegie Mellon University for additional insight and found that, quote, people who sent or received more messages, comments, and timeline posts reported improvements in social support, depression, and loneliness, unquote. Likewise, Facebook said students at Cornell who used Facebook for 5 minutes while viewing their own profiles saw, quote, boosts in self-affirmation, unquote, while folks who looked at other profiles did not. In other words, using Facebook to interact with people as opposed to just browsing, as the University of Michigan study analyzed, seemed to have a positive effect on people. Facebook's blog post follows criticism from former Facebook exec Kamath, I don't know how to pronounce his name, sorry, it's going to be in the article, who said recently that social networks such as Facebook are, quote, starting to erode the social fabric of how societies work, unquote, and they are, quote unquote, ripping apart society. He has since walked back those remarks. Facebook said it's going to take this data and work to encourage more social interaction among users in an effort to cut down on those who spend it to waste time and ultimately feel worse after. I'll let you guys decide how to assess that article. That's going to be on American Liberty Radio Podcast. Right there with Mr. Zuckerberg's face on it. Anywho. There's so many times that we can, we get up in the morning and we're like, okay, what do we do today? What do we do today? I mean, have you done that? Like on a Saturday. Like on a Saturday, you wake up, you're so used to getting up at 6:30 or whatever during the week. You get up and you're like, what am I going to do? It's Saturday. What am I going to do today? Right? And then you get up and then you get, you go to the bathroom, do all your, morning rituals. And then you're sitting there having coffee and then you figure out what you're going to do, right? By that time, it's 10 o'clock and you're going, oh, I should cook breakfast. Holy crap. You get to that point where you do mindless things. I do. I got up early in the morning and I just sat there on the couch flipping through Facebook, reading some of the posts, answering some of the posts, posting my own stuff as well. I wasn't in a foul mood at all. Afterwards, I was still tired and I still had to do the podcast. So, I still had to do stuff, but I wasn't in a foul mood. But what they're saying is, it seems to me what they're saying is that if you look at positive things on the internet, specifically in this article, Facebook, and if you look at negative things on the internet, specifically this article in Facebook, is mentioning the fact that you look at good stuff, you interact, you talk to people, you feel better. If you look at really crappy negative, posts, you're going to feel bad. Why didn't they just say that? You know what I mean? So, who knows? Who knows what they do? The Daily Caller, Harlem Shook. That's what it is. Harlem Shook. Excuse me. Harlem shook. Google is using its immense power to censor content that doesn't fit its political goals. Everyone in America should be concerned about that. Co-founder and publisher of the Daily Caller, Neil Patel, 15th of December 2017. The Daily Caller released a funny video Tuesday with FCC Chairman Ajit Pai defending the Commission's upcoming net neutrality rollback. Through Wednesday and Thursday, liberals and others who dislike Pai's political position lost their minds. And by Friday morning, Google, one of the most powerful companies on the planet, had censored the video based on a bogus claim from a politically motivated man. I'm just going to leave it right there. I'm not going to go any further. I'm going to put that on American Liberty Radio Podcast on Facebook. American Liberty Radio Podcast on Facebook. Have you ever felt like you just wanted to walk away from everything? Have you? Have you just like wanted... Have you ever been in your car driving home from work and you sit there or you're driving along and you're like, I just don't want to do anything anymore. I just keep driving. I just want to go just get out and just drive. I just want to go. I don't even want to go home. I just want to, I have felt that way myself. And I felt that way many times over the years, except in the last, maybe, 10 years or so. I just felt like driving. Just when you're driving along, you're just like, I'm just going to go over here. I'm just going to drive. I've known people to do that. I've known people to do that. Just drive. They leave work and they just drive and go, and they call their wife or husband and they're just, I'm going for a drive. I just want to clear my head. Okay. I know people that do that. Wind up in other cities miles away. It's like, hi, I'm just going to stay the night here. Okay, thank you. It's like, yeah, dear, I'll be home tomorrow. Don't worry. I just had to clear my head. Okay. And then go home and you're fine. You're fine. But it's just every once in a while you get to that point where you're just, I'm just going to keep on driving. Nothing wrong. Literally, I've talked to, I've looked at documents. I've seen, documents as well about people who just, they just go, Have you ever felt that way? Just like, I'm just going to go do this. What's my point? It's real easy. We all have the tendency to think that if you just leave it all, everything in your life is going to be great. Well, that's not necessarily true. Sometimes it is. Very rare cases. I've read about this where people have just abandoned their current life, made plans, moved to another city, and everything, it didn't go back to the way as it was. It just completely changed and they became a much better person. Okay. My point is that we all have those moments where we just want to change, where we think the grass is greener on the other side. And it really isn't. It's just as dead or almost dead as it is on our side. But the fact is, people do change. The fact is, people do take those steps to change. They take those steps because they see a need for that change. They see a need to change. And I just, I made up my mind a couple months ago that American Liberty Radio Network was going to go through some changes. And so I'm making those changes slowly. And then after the first of the year, I'm probably just going to make those changes permanent. And I know it's going to get better, and I know it is better after those changes because I've looked at everything and I've asked people, I've talked, to several people, and it just literally makes sense. Oh, I'm still going to have the daily podcast, American Liberty Radio Network podcast, the podcast. I'm still going to have that. But I'm going to have, with what I have currently, I'm going to have another show following that on a daily basis. And then I'm going to have one weekly live show like today, like this one. talk about everything under the sun. So those are the changes that are going to, I'm still working it out logistically, that kind of thing. So bear with me. Things are going to get a little funky here in the next couple of weeks, but it's going to be good. And you can help me with those changes. Hey, if you want to contribute a couple of bucks a month to American Liberty Radio Network, you can. And that name's going to change, by the way. So bear with me. Okay. Bear with me. But if you want to help grow the network and help me, as I like to say, keep the lights on around here. But basically, I'm looking to upgrade equipment. I'm looking to, remodel the studio a little bit, get just a little more upgrades around here because I've been doing this a while and it's time to upgrade. So if you want to help, please do. Please consider it. I would very much appreciate it. And you can go to my Patreon page for the network and help out. Patreon.com/American Liberty Radio. Patreon.com/American Liberty Radio. And, you can contribute $2 a month or as much as you want, but minimally $2 a month. So, or you can advertise on the network. Okay? So, let me give you that. I went out to eat earlier and holy crap, man. Whew. I just got, wow. You can go to the Wayne S. Pierce Show. That would be me. The Wayne S. Pierce Show.weebly.com. Go to the sponsors page and all the information for that particular show is right there. And that's what this is. I just call it the Wayne S. Pierce Show Podcast or the Wayne S. Pierce Podcast because that's what it is, right? So make it simple, right? But you can go to the sponsors page on the Wayne S. Pierce Show.weebly.com site and go to the sponsors page and there's all the information right there. I'm running a special, so please, that's going to end very sooner than you think, actually. So by the end of January, that deal is going to be gone. So go to the Wayne S. Pierce Show.weebly.com website. Go to the sponsors page. All of that information is right there. Get in on this if you want to advertise on the network. Of course, my email is right there. Ask me anything you want. You can donate if you don't want to advertise. There's a donate button there as well. Please do. I love doing these shows for you. I love doing the podcasts every morning and uploading them for you guys. I love doing live shows. So anything that you can do, thank you. Appreciate that. Go to the Wayne S. Pierce Show.weebly.com site. Hit the sponsors page. There you go. Or contribute through Patreon at patreon.com/American Liberty Radio. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that very much. While truth puts on its shoes, the media's reign of terror. Mark Hemingway, 15th of December, 2017, over at the weeklystandard.com. Covering the Trump presidency has not always been the media's finest hour, but even grading on that curve, the month of December has brought astonishing screw-ups. Professor and venerable political observer Walter Russell Mead tweeted on the 8th of December, quote, "I remember Watergate pretty well, and I don't remember anything like this level of journalistic carelessness back then. The constant stream of bombshells that turn into duds is doing much more to damage the media than anything Trump could manage," unquote. That one is going up on American Liberty Radio podcast on Facebook. The media, the mainstream propagandists, as I like to call them, are failing miserably. Failing miserably. They're failing. I cannot even begin to fathom how badly they are failing the American people. I've taken journalism, trust me. What I learned is not what they're doing, okay? So, I'm just saying that. All of the articles that I mentioned are up on the American Liberty Radio podcast on Facebook. Go check them out. Of course, if you have any questions, ask. No question is off limits. Ask me anything you want. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. It's pretty much that simple, folks. So, I mean, seriously, how easy can it be, okay? How simple can it be? All right, just, again, if you want to contribute, please do. Go to patreon.com/American Liberty Radio. Patreon.com/American Liberty Radio. Oh, God, folks, I'm going to get out of here. I was going to go an hour and a half, but I decided not to. During the last break, I went, nah, just go for an hour. So, but I will share more on tomorrow on the American Liberty Radio podcast. So look forward to that. Look for that link to the podcast tomorrow. And I got a lot to share. Holy moly. So like today, if you want to, see the articles I just talked about in the last hour, go to American Liberty Radio Podcast on Facebook. Check that out. Also go to AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com, to stay connected. And also this particular show, I gave you that website earlier. I'll give it to you again. The Wayne S. Pierce Show. The Wayne S. Pierce Show.weebly.com. And the Wayne S. Pierce Show.weebly.com. Check it out. Of course, again, email me from there. That's fine. Folks, I think I'll get out here early. I got like two and a half minutes. I'll leave you I'll leave you for the evening, okay? This is the American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com, and also this particular show, the Wayne S. Pierce Show.weebly.com. And sharing the truth one fact at a time without all the BS.